What's up, everybody? I am back, your host, Eric Vincent, and this is the Procurement Com brand, Black Ink Events. I do a lot of different things. I got my fingers in something, everything, everywhere. I got too many irons in the fire, but it's all things I'm interested in, all in the goal of making other small businesses successful. So if you ask me why I do this and how am I successful at it, I do it so you're successful. And that's how I find my success. Today, we are in part two of our conversation about fringe, different, unique, alternative, paranormal, supernatural, spooky, just different businesses. And for a small business, you could be like, hey, paranormal, that's not my thing. I sell soap, but you're still a unique business if you have a unique soap. So that makes you unique. You might be a taxidermist. That makes you unique. You're not sitting on a corner down on Wall Street, selling an umbrella. So we're talking today with a gentleman who has followed his passion and made a business out of unique, out of different, out of the paranormal. And we were talking before we went on camera, and depending on when you were introduced to this gentleman, he is actually a pioneer. So before you saw it on Sci-Fi Channel, he was doing it. And I'm going to bring in Brian J. Cano. He is an author, a lecturer, he is a paranormal investigator, and he is a historian because we're going to talk about his. He calls it a mobile exhibit. We just might as well just call it a museum. And he's preserving paranormal history and investigative history. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll jump into the backstory,
All
Brian.
right. Well, thanks for having me on, Eric. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm honored to be on here. Wow, where to begin? Yeah, the word pioneer. We were doing this back in 2002 before the paranormal explosion on TV, where I was creating a show, a cable access show called Scared on Staten Island. And it was very urban exploration minded with just a jab into there's so many urban legends, there's so many ghost stories in my hometown. We should be able to just go into these places with some cameras, our friends, our five senses, and our wits, and come away with something. And all these years later, I'm still creating things that not everyone that at least I don't see anyone doing. And that's my History of the Paranormal mobile exhibit. And whether you found me from Paranormal Caught on Camera, Haunted Collector, Scared, and people still do. I just got a direct message on Instagram today saying, "Hey man, do you have any of those old episodes?" And I was honestly touched because I didn't think anyone remembered those,
Yeah.
but they're out there. People still remember them, treasure them, and I hope in years to come that my exhibit will be in that same sentence of, "Wow, we remember when you did this, and look where you are now." Who knows?
Yeah, so I mean, we're excited to have your exhibit at our event in April, and our goal is to, have this event obviously annually. But I think personally, a goal for me with you and with your exhibit is that next year it's bigger. You know what I mean? Not to put more work on you, but
I put it on myself.
right, and that's what entrepreneurs do, right?
See,
That's what you do.
you've had many discussions with my manager Linda, and anytime the exhibit shows, be it a week before, a month before, or a quarter before, I'm always adding to it. And you just
Right.
you see the frustration on her face because she goes, "Stop adding to it." I'm like, "Oh, Linda, I added a new feature. I added a new thing." That means it gets bigger. That
Right.
means the truck needs to get bigger. That means the space we need to rent has to get bigger. And I'm thinking creatively. I'm thinking about the product, not necessarily the nuts and bolts. And that's I wouldn't be able to do this at all without her patience and ingenuity in that department. But as far as the business goes, yeah, this is kind of a unique thing. We're treading through fresh snow.
Right. But you're tapping into, again, I think, this space that has evolved from, and again, we're not at numbers yet where we see 80% of the population believe in the paranormal or believe in cryptids or believe in UFOs. We're still just around, hovering around that 50% mark, with still about, I think it was like something, the statistical, like 30 or 40% still have a skeptical eye to it. in that space. So yeah, you're treading new ground in a space that is growing, but still it's a hard sell for a lot of people, right? And you've been doing this a long time. What have you been,
Num-
like 20 years?
25 years. And the numbers have been growing in the respect that there is a survey done out of University in California called the Survey of American Fears. And usually it's about war, the economy, in recent years, health, pandemic, things like that. But there's
Right,
always a subsection of that survey that deals with paranormal topics.
right.
Do you believe, or are you fearful that you may be abducted by an alien? Are you fearful about psychics? Are you fearful about demons? And crunching those numbers, we're seeing them increase every year to the point where we are past the halfway point.
Oh, right.
Ghosts
Okay.
and spirits, 62%.
Okay.
Aliens, down a little bit more, 30, 40%. Cryptids like Bigfoot, Loch Ness, lower still, but little by little, people are opening up to those concepts. And I think something educational like my exhibit that says, hey guys, we're not trying to force you to believe. We're not telling you, hey, we're trying to sell you a religion or sell you a timeshare. If you're curious about what these people are all into and what it's about, come in and learn what's going on in the paranormal today.
Yeah.
Looking back to where we've been.
So to get to there, though, you did have a journey. I mean, if you're talking 25 years ago, we were nowhere near 50%, 60% in believers. That was definitively the era where you said, I believe in ghosts. And the dude across the bar looked at you and had a comment about you being crazy. Like
Yes,
those were the days.
but that's rather, it's not the belief, it's the admission of belief. In the
Right.
same way that today we have different categories of people that, yeah, they existed 30, 40 years ago. They just couldn't say it. They could be out and say, yes,
Fair
I
enough.
believe. And the paranormal back then was the occult.
Right.
And
The
if you
cult.
wanted to talk about it with like-minded individuals, it would be in the basement of a library somewhere, well out of the public eye.
Right.
But now I'm in an airport, I get pulled aside for additional screening, and they look in my bag because I have all these weird gadgets. They go, sir, what is this? And I explain, well, these are devices for a paranormal investigator. I'm a researcher. Their eyes light up. They go, oh, I got this story. And I'm like, sir, I got a plane to catch, but I'm glad you're happy.
So, but again, you brought me to today. I'm still curious about that because it's got to be a struggle to pursue your passion in a world where people don't necessarily believe in you or believe in the subject matter. And how do you fight through that? How do you not give up on that?
Oof. I, I, I don't know. I don't have a good answer to that. I'm not a big drinker, so I don't throw myself into substances like most of us do. It's a struggle. It is a battle because every other week I feel like throwing in the towel. I say, I fought as hard as I could.
Wait, you mean even today?
Even today, last week, I'm like, you know what? Who cares? Who's going to be interested? But it's weird. The universe has this way
Wow.
of knowing when I'm about to throw it all in because they'll send somebody like the DM on Instagram saying, yes, we see what you're doing. We value what you're doing. Please keep it up.
Yeah.
And that's just enough for me to go, big boy pants, I'll cry, I'll whine it out, and then I'll say, all right, get back to work because there's work to be done.
Yeah. So the inspiration you got from the fan base, from the support base.
It's important because I mean, we all like to believe that we are these isolated pillars that we're going to do what we want because we want to do it. No, this is with the advent of social media and everything being interconnected. What other people think of us and our brand, you could say otherwise, but it matters to us. You want to do something and have people appreciate it. If you make a
Right.
video and you put it on YouTube, it gets 10 views, you feel like, oh. But then someone has a silly TikTok of them dancing and it gets 5 million views and they're monetizing. You go, hey, what's with that? Why can't I get that?
Wow.
And it's a double-edged sword. We do good work for the work, but we also like it to be appreciated.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the fan base is very loyal and very committed, and I think that's one of the things about a niche market. Being in this spot where believers are believers. That's it. if they believe, you can't convince them otherwise, even if they're a little bit skeptical. And I think those make great loyal fans because they're following you, follow your passion and follow your goals. I think that's better than at the end of the day, than 5 million views from people who are just laughing at some dude that got smacked in the face with a pie. You
I
know what I
wouldn't
mean?
mind being able to afford a really expensive car as a tax write-off because of the views got. But I get what you're saying for sure.
Oh no, there's no question. It's the. I mean, if we're gonna get to the brass tacks of loyal customer base on a brand, well, you want the repeat customer, not the one-off that's going to buy it for $1. Um,
Absolutely.
so we have those. So you go all the way from back in the day when you first started out as a pioneer. I'm going to say it again because if you're on public access TV at that time, you had to pay to be on public access, right? If you wanted
You
to put
had
your
to pay to be certified. You had to take a class to say that you knew how to use the equipment. There was a portable class where it's out in the field with the cameras, and then there was the studio class as far as doing reel to reel editing once you had the product. And the exchange was they'll air anything you want that you make, but if you use their equipment, they get it. That's it.
that,
They air it. That's the covenant.
right. So you had to do all that stuff. You did that of your own accord at a
Mhm.
time when nobody was blasting anything out on Turner networks and all
We
that
were
stuff.
crazy,
You're
and
crazy.
the manager of the cable access channel, he goes, "Wow, this is some interesting stuff, guys. But don't be surprised if you start seeing this pop up on the airwaves because producers will canvas cable access to get
Really?
ideas or to see what's popular because they don't have to pay you. They'll just take the idea and market it.
Yeah, somebody
And
else.
look what happened.
Lo and behold, lo and behold. So I mean, again, you're going through this journey right there, and you're just driving through, right? You're following your dream, you're following goals. At that time, was there a goal to build this into a business, or was this just you're doing it because you loved it?
Well, I tramp a perpetual journey, Eric. I've been on this weird trip probably from jump. But that being said, when I first started my paranormal journey, I was a skeptic. I didn't believe in any of this. So not only was there the creative aspect, the business aspect, but there's also the spiritual aspect. And that these days I consider myself a skeptical believer, whereas back then I was a skeptic. Arms folded. Oh, you saw a ghost? You're crazy. But I'm going to find out the rational, logical reasons for why this is being experienced. And through that journey, I think this is why today I have some success with skeptics alike as well as believers because I used to be one of them.
Right,
So I don't pander and I don't say you have to believe. I say, look, you'll get to it in your own time. It took
right,
me X amount of time. It may take you longer. It may take you quicker. But you know what? I understand your trepidation and your skepticism because, like
mm,
I inferred before, so many people believe, but they're just afraid to admit that they do.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's still definitely a stigma to that. You know
Oh
what
yeah,
I mean? There's because people, judge, and I mean, unfortunately, that's what we do. That's what
we see
humans
it,
do.
we see it today in the UAP circles where there is actual legislation going through Congress called the UAP Act, the UAP Disclosure Act of 2025, that, in addition to other things, is trying to make it easier for people to come forward without being retaliated against, without being stigmatized. Because, yeah, people have experiences, be it ghosts and spirits or aliens or what have you. They don't want to talk because it might collapse their entire way of living.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where it's these are not these things, paranormal investigations, paranormal museums, paranormal equipment, anything in the supernatural space, cryptid. These are all fringe businesses. They're not again, they're not a Wall Street business. They eventually will be. Somebody's going to come along and make paranormal equipment and put together a paranormal class, and then they're going to make an IPO. It's going to happen one day. I don't know if it's
Once
in my
once
lifetime.
Bezos figures out how to undercut me and my exhibit, you're going to see the Timu history of the paranormal exhibit popping up every abandoned mall across the United States.
Yeah, it'll be those really ratchet animatronics that you get at Spirit Halloween. You
Crazy.
know that you've seen those like 13, 14, 20 foot giant skeletons, and
Oh
then
yeah,
the head just disappears.
yeah.
It's gone. Yeah. So all right, so bringing this up to today, let's talk a little bit now. I was introduced to you on John Zaffis's show, was on the Sci-Fi Network at the does that station even still exist? Um, the Sci-Fi Channel, I think it was called, right? And it was called The Haunted Collector, and that's where I was introduced to you.
Ah,
And
the haunted collector.
the Haunted Collector. So that was he has his own collection. Is that where you got started in your collecting of objects?
No, and here's the thing, and this is also a misunderstanding. People see what I do and assume that it must be a collection of haunted objects, and it is not.
Ooh,
It's a
okay.
history exhibit. I go
Okay.
through belief, the power and importance of belief. I take you through the spiritualist movement of the 1800s. I go through old school tools, Ouija boards, pendulums, old tech, to old cameras. There is part of the exhibit that does address the haunted collector nature of curses and items and things of that nature, just because, again, it's part of the paranormal. But my introduction to haunted collector and my working with John started a couple of years prior to that, when my buddy and I, who made Scared and Scared on Staten Island, we filmed a documentary for John called John Zaffis, The World Within. And it was a documentary about his life, a full
Okay.
feature length 90
Oh
minute
wow.
documentary. And we literally lived with the guy for a month in his house. He woke up, he's in his purple bathrobe, I'm there filming, and we put together this project that, at the end of it, again, in the paranormal, John Zaffis is a name. It's like one of the names, and his nickname is the Godfather of the paranormal. So
Paranormal.
you approach this with, oh, John, John Zaffis, Mr. Zaffis, oh, sir. And he's just a regular guy. He's so kind, so
Yeah, he is.
approachable, so funny, that when we were showing him the rough cuts, John has a particular way of speaking, and you've had your interactions with him, so you probably pick up on this. He has certain mannerisms and certain vocalisms that, when you're editing a film project, you pick up on these things. And sometimes, out of context, they might seem wildly inappropriate. And then, as a video editor, if you took all these things and strung them together, you could make things that sound horrible.
Right.
We called this the perv reel. And we brought it to John, and we showed it to him. It was, I think it was a 60-second
Oh jeez.
reel. And here he is, we're like, all right, John, we have this bonus feature we want you to look at. And we put it on. Chris and I start sweating. We're like, oh God, we're not super close. We hope he gets it. We hope he likes it. We hope he doesn't hate us. And this is John. He's watching. He's like tugging at his beard. Just the parts that we found funny in the edit room, he's not responding to at all. 60 seconds. And it was the longest 60 seconds in the world. This trumps Alfred Hitchcock and his famous 14 seconds of, the longest in cinema.
Yeah.
And in our minds, we're thinking, oh no, what did we do? We just torpedoed our career before it even began. And we look over at John, and he's brimming. He's like, ah! And he busts out laughing. He couldn't hold it in anymore. But he was, as we were messing with him, he was messing with us.
Yeah.
And he thought it was funny. So we said, all right, wow, that's, phew, thank God. So John, hey, we friends now. He goes, no, we're family.
Oh.
Ooh. And that's what landed me on Haunted Collector, because it was about family. It was about
Right.
people close to him that he works with, myself, Beth Ezzo, his kids. That first season, you could
Yeah.
even see it in the edits. We're joking around, we're laughing. There are real human moments, and it wasn't all just business.
Yeah. I mean, you took a risk. You took a risk with that reel.
Oh, we
Like
did.
I mean, the truth is you could have torpedoed your career.
Yeah.
So that was risky, and I applaud it. I mean, no risk, no reward. That's what you have to do as an entrepreneur. You have to take your chances. So it's awesome because I got to, find you through that. So you were on the show. So good job. you know, but let's talk about that for a minute. Risks, right? You taking a risk on something like that. For a lot of people that might not seem that big. Um, but you are making a living at this industry. And every day as a business owner, the CEO, because you said earlier to me about you're the vision, right? You said you have vision, you're creative. And that's pretty much the CEO's job. You're the creative force, and you have your team helps you put it all together generally. So you're taking a risk every day with this. So so talk to me about a risk, not that one. We know that one worked out. Talk to me about something that really set you weren't sure you wanted to do, but you went for it anyway, knowing that the risk was real. This was really risky, but you still did it and you ended up either on the good side or you had to do a pivot. Give us a little story on that for everybody.
Well, I think in business as well as creative ventures, anything when you're creating something from nothing, when you're sitting at zero at the starting line and saying, what am I going to do? How is this going to proceed? You have your choices. And I worked in advertising for 11 years. And one of the lessons that I learned that's been ingrained and pounded into me was when the world zigs, zag.
Right.
And I've pretty much lived my entire paranormal career with that motto very close to my heart, because as everyone is chasing this fad or doing this type of investigation or this kind of business engagement, I'm like, well, if the 10 of them are doing that, I don't want to be just one of many.
Yeah.
Sometimes in order to lead the herd, you have to leave the herd behind.
Yes.
And that's about taking those risks, because you're going to do something that hasn't been done. It's not proven. It's not tested. And you might fall flat on your face. You might lose a bunch of money, and it hurts. But depending on what you do with that and how you recover from that, as we said before, sometimes I feel like, oh man, nobody's appreciating this. I'm gonna throw in the towel. But maybe just a white moment of inspiration that you alter your trajectory and said, well, if I just change this a little or change my audience. All right, perfect example. Running paranormal events. Usually you see these larger events where they try to pack in the people, because for the ticket price, to rent the place, to get everything that needs to be done from the website, the advertising, all the costs that people don't see. They just see the ticket cost and go, oh, why is it this much? Well, it goes to things. I started feeling a little abrasive about that process. And I said, you know what? I want to pull away from the meat market aspect of it. And I want to have smaller, more intimate gatherings where, yeah, when you come to my event, you actually get to see me. You get to talk to me. It's not, oh, hey, Brian's across the room. I think, oh, yeah, there he is. Okay, I can hear him. I'm in the 80th row. No. 10 people, 15 people, 20 people max. So if we have an investigation or I'm doing a lecture, you really feel like, yeah, this was for me. And this is almost like going to see a concert. You can go to Madison Square Garden, which is an amazing experience, or you can go to that little hole-in-the-wall club somewhere that only fits maybe 50 people. And
right.
You really get to hear the band. You really get to enjoy that.
Yeah.
And as far as engagement goes, and you said about loyal customers and fans, that helps with the loyalty, because they feel like they've seen you. They're special. So right around 2020, I started thinking, yeah, let me go small. And even though I won't be raking in as much, I'll be creating a more loyal base, and I could do more of these little events. But the ticket price has to go up.
Right.
You're paying for exclusivity. And then something called COVID-19 came around and hit my industry. And they said, all right, everybody, mask up, stay home, shelter in place. Oh, you're going to do something? Well, we're sorry to say you can only have 15 people in attendance. I said, that's just fine. That's what I wanted anyway. And by changing to that, and I didn't plan it, I started going in that direction before the pandemic hit. But when the pandemic hit, it knocked out all my competition.
Right.
And that year, I did so well. 2021 was probably one of my best years.
Really?
Maybe not for the world, but for me, I was able to pay off debt. I was able to really ground my feet in and say, okay, this is my area, this is my space. And the exhibit rose up through that.
Right.
And yeah, again, it was a risk, but I saw a need. People were dying for something to do. And even if I can only present this for 10, 15 people at a time, now, not the exhibit, but my
Yeah,
person,
no, understood.
uh,
Yeah.
it was worth it. And it's the dividends of that action have continued to pay out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, you and I are on the same page when it comes to an event. Statistically, like if you have more than 300 people at an event, you start hitting a negative feedback loop. And it's always, I didn't get to talk to, I didn't get to see, you know what I mean? And that's louder than all the people who are like, this was the best thing since sliced bread. And that's what we want to do with our events is very much we want to have a cap. We know this place is where we're only going to have, here's 300 tickets for this, here's 100 tickets for this VIP experience, you know what I mean? And that's it, that we're done, because we want to create the platform for the small businesses. So yeah, sure, come on in, support the small businesses. But the lectures, the panels, the VIP experience, that's all intimate. We want to make sure that's intimate,
There's
right?
something to be said about exclusivity in the respect that, sure, if you could pack a stadium of 1,000 people, 4,000 people, 10,000 people, hey, that's great. You're making quantity. But if you tell people, well, only 100 could come, you can't come.
They
The
want
FOMO
more.
kicks in and they're like, oh, I want it more. But
Yeah.
I said you can't come. I'll pay double. I'm sorry, it's closed. I'll pay triple. Well, maybe there's something we can do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a real model. It's definitely a real model. I mean, and I think from the brand experience side, that intimacy does exactly. And again, creating that brand loyalty. You said it, I said it. We have to keep that brand loyalty going, because those people, we want to create repeat customers.
Yes.
The one-off who spends $20 on Temu who never goes back, not interested. He's not gonna buy the $19 shirt. He's gonna want 12 shirts for $19.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
our customer.
that's another thing too. You have to know your audience, and you can't please everyone. So this is something that Linda and I, my manager, have really set our focus on. And while sometimes I will see posts, I'll see feedback of people who maybe want something, or they're like, "Oh, why does it have to be so much?" And I say, "Oh, maybe we should lower our prices." You have to know who you are selling to. You have to know your market. So, yeah, you can have a $10 event and it'll be a $10 event, or you could have a $150 event and you feel like, yes, this was worth it. But you have to put the work in to make that $150 event feel like, yes, they're getting
Right.
value. They're getting something for that dollar, to the point where they said, yeah, that was worth it. I would have paid more.
Right.
I did, speaking of risks, I have a Patreon site, and on it, I complete projects. I have a fortnightly podcasts. I do video projects. I have an apprentice tier where I teach people elements of the paranormal. And to this outlet, several years back, I wanted to do an event. I wanted to do a secret event, almost like those secret concerts that just pop up out of nowhere, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh, if you're in the know, you
that's
know.
cool. Yeah.
I wanted to tap into that feeling of, ooh, what is this and where is this? Or a lot of times at fan conventions, you see those mystery boxes.
Yeah.
We'll buy $50. They'll buy a box unseen, and inside will be random collectibles. Maybe nothing you want, but the thrill of opening it and finding out is the thing. All right, I curated an event and I called it Trick or Treat. It was for Halloween, and I said, all right, trick or treat. Only 10 people are going to be able to come to this. Ticket price is $400. I'm not telling you where we're going until it's sold out. Now, that was a risk. That was,
It's huge risk.
who's going to pay sight unseen, location unknown for a paranormal event? But people did. And again, because I've been able to build trust in my area, and especially with my patrons who know, yeah, Brian's not going to steer us wrong. This is going to be cool. And after it sold out, I said, all right, I had a reveal for it. I said, all right, guys, this is where we're going. And the location was the Grand Midway Hotel in Windber, Pennsylvania, which is the site where in 2016 we got into the Guinness Book of World Records for painting the world's largest Ouija board on the roof of that building.
Oh, wow.
You could see it. You could go to Google Maps, zoom in, and you could see it. And I said, yeah, guys, this has kind of been a private location. It's been something that I've known for years. And John's been there. Rosemary's been there. All like paranormal people in the know have been there. But now I'm taking you there.
Right.
It wasn't a trick. It was a treat.
But let me ask you this: these were people from your Patreon, so they were already brand loyal.
Yes.
They were already, Brian loyal, right? So you built it up; they trusted you, and so you built your brand up through probably prior to your Patreon. In this case, right? I mean, really, I would argue that your Patreon is still loyal customers from your pre-Patreon life coming in.
It's
right?
kind of a constant. It's there's maintenance to be done. I can't skate on Haunted Collector. That was 12 years ago when it ended. So
Yeah.
I have to continue to prove myself. I have to continue to say, yes, I'm still relevant. I'm still current. And with, say, the trick or treat events, that then pays off in the respect that all those people who came and had a good time, they're going to post about it. They're going to
Right.
post on Facebook. They're going to post on Instagram. They're going to show the pictures. And people are like, hey, what's that?
Right.
Let
Right.
them help with that marketing. Because honestly, I'm horrible at marketing myself, but I try to focus on the work, and if it's good, that will spread on its own.
Did you ever really think to like do more of those on a consistent basis, like more of those mystery box type events, those secret events? Did you ever dive down that rabbit hole? Well, what if I did 4 of these a year?
I believe me, I definitely thought about it. I flirted with the idea. I would love to do something like that. I think the population and the economy right now are such that people are being very careful. Yeah. So something like that is a luxury purchase. It's a whim that, yes, we'll pay out big if you do it. In just less than a month, I'm going to be going to Ireland with Mysterious Adventures Tours, and I'm the paranormal host of that trip. And in addition to wonderful locations we're going to in Ireland, on Halloween, Samhain, how it all started, we're going to be investigating Leb Castle in Ireland. It's an amazing trip, an amazing itinerary. I had a hard time getting people to sign up and stay signed up, because in this environment, yeah, things are volatile. People are losing their 401ks. People are getting laid off. AI and robots and things are coming to make them go, I'm going to hold on to this for a little bit longer. But what I have noticed is that as much as people are clutching their purse strings, they always have the money for what they really want to buy. Right. So you just have to make sure that you keep that trust with the public to say, yeah, if you do this with me, it's not going to be a waste.
Yeah, and you say, it's work. It's always work. It's always building trust in your brand. And now you're doing this trip. This isn't the only trip you've ever done. You've done other trips like this, right?
Yes.
Right. So people can look back at you and your history and say, oh, he's done this and he's done that one, and look in the reviews and everybody's happy. So you're building your brand that way through through your paranormal investigation. Now you said to me also, hey, Paranormal Collector was 12 years ago, but you have been on TV recently, consistently. In fact, you have done, I think, right. It was The Secret of Oak Island. You've done.
Yes. The Curse of Oak Island. Drilling down.
Right. Curse of Oak Island. You're a regular, what was it? The Paranormal Caught on Camera. I'm
regular cast on Paranormal Caught on Camera. I literally just filmed yesterday for it because we just got renewed for season 9. Since its inception, I have not been off the airwaves. There was a little time in between Haunted Collector and that where I was just doing little things, but yeah, it's that consistency. And while Paranormal Caught on Camera is not an investigative show like some of the others, I think that's where I have to work a little harder, because if they don't see you doing, they kind of forget that you do, which is why on my YouTube channel I post my scared solo missions to say, hey guys, I still investigate, I'm still a researcher, I'm a talking head on TV, And I do a lot of podcasts, but don't forget, I'm still out there doing the work.
Yeah, so maybe I'll talk to you off camera. I'm planning something, an investigation. So I will talk to you off camera about, because I don't want to talk about it right now.
This is
Um,
this is like a UAP hearing. They're like, okay, does the government have alien bodies?
yeah,
I can't say, but we'll talk in a closed session. Okay,
yeah, we'll talk in the skiff. We'll talk.
we'll talk in the skip.
Yeah, it's true, right? This is it. It gets that. All right, so I'm going to dip a little bit away from the business. I said we're not going to talk about adventures, but I want to dip a little bit away from it because, you know, business is not always just like grind, grind, grind. Listen, if you're not having fun doing it, why are you doing it? You got to have fun, you know, otherwise you could go do a 9 to 5. So talk to me about some of the fun stuff that you've done, something that stands out to you, an investigation, you had a great time, or maybe it was a blooper situation. Talk to me. Give me something that just, it's one of those things that keeps you going.
Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. You know, it's you hit the nail on the head. If you're not having fun, then why bother? If you lose that passion, and anyone I come across who asks me for advice, who asks how I got into it, what I'm doing now, I'll always ask them what their goal is, because I think one of the pitfalls in this and in any uh, avenue of business or fun, if you're saying you're doing it for this reason, but kind of doing something else, your goals and your actions don't match. So how can you be having fun if you're not uh, being true to yourself? So for me, I love travel. I love going to different places. I'm going up to Fonda, New York this weekend for a small event. But Fonda, New York, where's that? I'm like,
Where's that?
I'm gonna find out. Actually, I've been there before, but I love going to small places. I love seeing, talking to people, seeing how they live, what their thoughts are on the paranormal. Yeah, they've seen me on TV, but I'm interested in what got them into the paranormal. And
Right.
I've had the opportunity, because of what I do, to speak and travel to places like Australia, the UK. I've been to the Bermuda Triangle several times. I've been out to Area 51. When I was a kid, I grew up on shows like In Search of with Leonard
Search
Nimoy,
Leonard Nimoy. Yeah.
and watching those end credits and seeing those things flash by. I thought as a kid, I'm going to go to those places. I'm going to find out those mysteries. And you get older, you get to the commute, the job, you pay taxes, life kind of pounds you down, and
Lifes.
life's, and it knocks you down. Like, there's a Rocky soliloquy that's perfect for this. But yeah, um, the paranormal gave me back the wonder I had as a child. And
Right.
I've been doing all I can to pay attention to that, to not lose that again. That, yeah, I'm thankful. Anytime I go on an investigation or an event and I go to a new place or even a place I've been to before, gotta have fun. Gotta discover, even if I go into town and find a used bookstore and pick up some Hans Holzer books I didn't have, or go, I'm currently on a quest to get all 38 variant covers of the Police's Synchronicity album.
Oh wow.
So I'll go to a new town, I'll find a used vinyl store, and I'm like, okay, do I have this one? I'm crazy for doing this. Uh, I make my own adventures, and
Yeah.
they might not always be things that are televised, but it keeps me it keeps me enriched.
Keeps you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I mean, because being an entrepreneur and you hit those grind days, and you said to me in the beginning of this, you had a moment like even today, after all these years, where you're like, is this really worth it? You know, so you need to have that fun because again, once your grind turns into a real grind, you need to pause. And I mean, that's probably why one of the reasons we started the event side. I mean, there's a lot of reasons we developed the event, the fan side of stuff.
Mhm.
And one is because we wanted to give small businesses a platform to reach who we don't serve in
Mhm.
our other stuff. But let's be real here. Every one of the events that I create is something I have either, some interest in or some ties to. I'm never going to create a bridal event. I know nothing about bridal. I'm divorced now for, however, what, almost 2 decades. I clearly don't know what I'm doing in marriage. So, why am I going to do a bridal show? But paranormal, like you said, I remember that In Search of episode, with Leonard Nimoy and the first, that the original. As a matter of fact, funny story is I saw, my mother took me to the movie theater to see the Gimlin film of Bigfoot when I was a kid.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I saw it in a movie theater. It released it in a movie theater, and that's where I saw it. And I was like, oh, that
Right.
was it. That was
And as
it.
a kid, like those things filled you with wonder that
Yeah,
we live in this amazing planet, in this amazing universe with possibilities and magic around every corner. And
yeah,
then that gets ground out of us. And it's up to us to try to rediscover that.
yeah. We have to reclaim it, and that's what you do as an entrepreneur. Follow your passions, but again, I think you probably. I've always been. I love advertising and marketing. I love branding. I love all that stuff. From the dirty days of my advertising, it was how do we make them push the big red button? That was the goal, right? And you know it. You've been there. Um, but I think like now I've come into my own where I get to meet people like you, who you're following your passions, like your dreams. You're not just a guy who decided to open a laundromat to make some money. You know what I mean? And no offense to that guy, smart move, dude. But you
Sometimes I
know,
wish I had. I'm like, that's steady money. Am I going to make rent this month? But I'm having an adventure not knowing.
maybe we need to open a paranormal laundromat.
Right? Let these spirits, they could make things fly off a shelf. They could pick up a broom or help out in
Yeah,
the
right.
housework.
Yeah, yeah. Except you get that one dude that keeps breaking the washing machine, all the quarters fall out, and the guy gets free laundry. Now we got a problem. That was really bad. So again, I definitely want to talk about a little bit more about you having that good time. So travel, so personal stuff we don't see on camera. Tell us a little bit about the on camera antics and things that you've done that have made you really really love what you're doing even more, like when you're with other investigators and people, because we see the edits, we don't see the whole thing.
I think I had a bit of a leg up when it came to TV by the time I got to it, because since my friends and I had did the cable access show, we after we left cable, we did our own thing. We were one of the first people on YouTube. It was like, you go on there and you look up and there's some old videos and it's standard definition and it's pixelated. It doesn't look good because we uploaded it back in the beginning. I remember when YouTube first came out, I said, "What's this? Video? These files are going to be huge. This is not going to take off. This is wow, huh?" And that was someone following a dream, and now look where we are.
Yeah,
But doing a haunted collector, I remember after every day of filming for that first season, John and I would go back to the hotel. We'd go across the street to the Burger King. He'd have a coffee. I'd have a snack, and we would just decompress. For him, he's like, "I don't understand any of this. Why do I have to film this 3 times? Why do I got to do this? I don't get it." And I'm like, "Well, that's just coverage. They need this." I knew the film side of it. What I didn't understand was the illogic of the producers and the production company. I'm like, why can't they let us be us? Why do we have to pretend we don't know who we clearly know? Why? And we would just kind of commiserate together. But the fun we would have on set, uh, for Haunted Collector and every scared project that I did, everything that I would put together, we always had blooper reels. The
yeah,
World Within, we had, in addition to the perv reel, we had blooper reels because that's just fun. Even to these days, I just did a project a couple of years ago with Dustin Perry from Ghost Hunters called Pathways, and it was an interact, and that too was a risk. We can get into that in another segment, but for filming for that, it was so important for me to put forward the blooper reels to show, all right, guys, we are serious, but we're also having fun, and we want you to have fun. And if you laugh and you think, hey, these guys are relatable, or this is a funny joke, that's another way to endear yourself to that public, to
right.
say, well, you know what? I like comedies. I love joking around, and I would gravitate towards that myself. So, oof. Um, I remember on the set of Haunted Collector, we would mess with the crew because some of them were believers and some of them weren't, and sometimes we would make noises or do things and then just pretend, oh my god, that was a ghost, and some of them would get honestly freaked out. At the end of the season, we tell them, hey, yeah, that was us. But
Well, you messed with them. That's great. That's
practical
great.
jokes, things like that,
Yeah.
always fun.
So now I'm gonna dive a little bit off of this because you just brought a question to mind, and maybe I'm not diving too much away from the business side, but practical jokes, right? You're creating these practical jokes, messing with the crew, having a great time, but you have to deal with the public that doesn't believe in a lot of this stuff. And you have a lot of people out there that are just full of shit. They're faking their whole thing, right? And for some of them I will watch it cuz they're pretty crafty with their special effects. Good for them, good on you, but that's about all you got going for you. Really bad place to do it when you have a whole industry. How do you deal with that? How do you face it when you have so many people out there that are actually putting a crimp in your industry by doing this fake stuff, and publicly saying it's real? Like, how are you fighting that fight?
I've taken that probably more personally than many have through various stages of my career because, all right, practical example, I'm currently on Paranormal Caught on Camera. It's a clip show where we watch clips that are curated from the internet and people have sent us in, and there will be plenty that I think are just full of it.
Yeah.
And there's somewhere I'm like, yeah, I don't believe in this. I think this is fake, or I could see how they faked it, or oh, I could do this in Final Cut Pro in 5 seconds, and yet it'll still make it to air. And sometimes they're minimal things, nothing to really get in a twist over. But every now and then I'll see a clip. I'm like, guys, we cannot air this because this is going to do damage to the field. This is going to do damage to the community. And there's a lot of YouTubers who, again, like you said, are just faking things because it gets them clicks, it gets them views, and it gets them that freaking Tesla Cybertruck that they buy for a tax write-off.
Right.
So that bothers me. That assaults my sense of legitimacy in that, all right, I'm trying to be serious at something. I'm trying, again, coming from the skeptical view to the believer, we're going to lose a lot of people this, and I can't hold them here.
Yeah.
How I deal with it, especially on Paranormal Caught on Camera, I say, look, this is about starting a conversation. So if you're watching something on TV and something is going off, your spidey sense is saying, something's not right. Good. Focus on that. Let's discuss it. Right. Let's go over the thing. And with those investigative shows, again, not to throw shade, but you have a cast, you have some characters, and they say, hey, look what we got. The covenant is because we said we got it, you have to believe it. On my show, you don't have to. You can say, I think that's full of crap. And I'm like, yeah, me too. Let's talk about it. None of this is to say you have to believe. The show's called Paranormal Caught on Camera, not give us your credit card and we're going to charge you for this being in the church of ghosts and stuff. We want to start the conversation to get people more savvy, to know what they're looking at and to know what to look for. And this naturally lends itself to things like my exhibit, where I'm looking to educate people. I'm looking to, and I call it edutainment, because I want them to have fun as they're learning, but I want them to be learning.
Yeah, edutainment. I like that. I think that's what listen, we learn best when we're having fun.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, 100%. So, you face that struggle. That's a battle you're probably always going to face. And generations after you are going to face, especially as we get into AI more. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, where does the viewer draw the line? Where does the viewer, what is your customer base like? Because you still have to, you can have a loyal customer base, but they can see something and see it's fake and still turn on you and say, do you do this shit, Brian?
Yeah. I get those. And that's the thing. They have, in the paranormal, there's a bit of a fraternity in that most of the TV people, we all know each other in one respect or another. And some of us are closer than others. And it's a business. And I tell people, the shows are entertaining. They're entertainment. Be entertained. Watch it, like it, watch them all. Like, yeah, this is great. I'm not saying watch this one, but don't watch this one. But if you're going to emulate them, you're missing most of the equation. And again, back to my exhibit, I want to tell people that there's an entire foundation that came before that informs the paranormal, and that I had to learn by doing, and I'm teaching them by showing them what's going on. And can I say what happened on any of the sets of any of the other shows? No, I wasn't there. So I tell people it's about belief. And this is true with pretty much everything in our world. It comes down to faith. Whether you're believing in a man in the Vatican with a pointy hat, or a man wearing a white lab coat saying, don't eat that, that'll give you cancer. none of us have done the research on our own. We don't have these figures of ourselves. We're putting our faith in the people who say, okay, do this and it'll all be all right. And at that's core, be it our belief system or business, how we conduct ourselves, it comes down to belief. If people believe I'm giving them a good product, then they're happy with what I'm giving them.
Right.
They think, I'm not sure about this. It's shaky. You could cause markets to fail just by the inference that there's something going on. And even if it's not, people might sell their stocks or withdraw their support. And then it wasn't shaky before, but it is now, creating that situation. And because it comes down to belief, people like me, I'm always on the lookout to make sure that I maintain that faith, that covenant between myself, the viewer, the customer, the patron, the friend, the acquaintance. And I just try to avoid the drama and just keep on keeping on.
Yeah. So, you have that. I like what you said about, you're just that they faith in you. You have faith in them, as a customer. I think that's, and their loyalties, and teaching them about there's something deeper here. There's a foundation. This impacts, informs this gave rise to, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't get from the TV shows. There's nobody's really talking about it. Right away, we're in a building. It's dark. It's scary. Somebody died here. There's demons and monsters. You know what I mean? Like that's the big pitch. And we're going to go in there and we're going to get these amazing EVPs and we're going to get this and we're going to get that. And but nobody's really, outside of maybe the little history on the building, the dark history, nobody's really diving into too much about, hey, what does this device do, and what does that device do, and why do we do this and why do we do that. And I think for television today, that'd be freaking boring. People would tune out because just the way we're tuned, the way TV has trained us to watch, the way the internet has trained us to watch. You got to deliver bite-sized clips. Now you got to do that for 45 minutes. So you got to snap, snap, move fast. So I think what you're doing is really awesome. And I'm excited to have the exhibit at our event. I'm really excited. We're going to be giving only 10 VIP passes for that for you to do a private tour before the event starts. So, and it'll be, I know that you do a tour in general for everybody that comes, but this is going to be a private tour. Only
That's
10
good.
people get to come see you for that private tour. Spend as much time as you want with them, whatever it's going to be. So we're going to have that.
They're going to get some concentrated Brian. That's they don't know what they're in for.
They don't know what they're in for. It's great. I mean, listen, I would love for the place that we're in to actually really be haunted. The pier was built in 1901.
Yeah.
And that building has been there since the early 1900s, and
Atlantic
obviously
City has
above.
seen some stuff. So yeah,
Right.
you know what? I'm not a believer in fixed haunts. I mean, outside of residuals, because there's haunted places that are echoes of what happened. But
Sure.
we live on a haunted planet where
Oh, for
we are,
sure.
they are. So just the fact that we're there saying, hey, we're here, spirit that has free will, that's curious about what we're doing and why, will come.
I think you and I could get into some deep conversations about the quantum mechanics portion of proving all this, because the more that I look at way quantum mechanics is evolving and determining things, the more I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what, that's happening. You know what I mean? So, but where are you going to be? You said you were going to be doing something next week. It was.
I've got an event this weekend up in Fonda, New York, at the old Montgomery Courthouse. Then on October 4th, I'm going to be up in Palmyra, New York. Both of these locations are on the Haunted History Trail of New York State, which I am the ambassador for, and I love to shine a spotlight on some of these great historical locations in my home states. Then after that, I'm prepping to go to Ireland.
Ireland, there it is. And then we're gonna be able to we find you on neverstopsearching.com, right?
NeverStopSearching.com, or to become a patron, go to patreon.com/Brian J. Cano.
Okay, we'll get that in the description after this posts. So is there any last little piece of valuable advice, whether the person is an underwater basket weaver or wants to be the next, paranormal king? What's the advice as an entrepreneur you can give them?
Know your goal, know what it is you're trying to do, Don't be afraid to be alone in an arena that is uncharted and untested, because again, to sometimes to lead the pack, you have to leave it behind. So there will be no contemporaries to look to say, how did you do it? You have to figure out your own way and blaze your own trail. And you have to have fun, because if you're not, then what's the point?
Yeah, yeah. And we're gonna call it a night here. Don't leave me. I got to talk to you off camera. All right. But folks, Brian J. Cano, this man is a pioneer in the paranormal. And let me, before we dip, because I did. Do you do any? Do you get involved in anything besides paranormal, cryptid, UFOs, UAPs, anything like that?
Well, yes. Well, paranormal is the umbrella term that
Okay.
encompasses all those things. Everything unproven, unexplained, the mysteries. Yes,
Okay, so you have just educated me today, which I'm really excited. I always thought paranormal
that's
strictly
my
was the
deal.
ghosts, but
That's what I do.
perfect. So, folks, you can visit Brian's website, Never Stop Searching. We will put the Patreon link after this post in the description. And is the Ireland thing sold out? I imagine.
The Ireland thing is sold out, but one trip that has just been announced and is selling currently by the same company is a river boat trip through France, through the Rhone, with myself, Ghost Hunters Dustin Perry, and Ghost Hunters Grant Wilson.
All right, you're gonna have to email me the link so we can push. We're gonna push that out on our social for you guys too. So, folks, thank you very much, Brian. You guys out there, I need you guys to listen to everything everybody says on my show, especially people who are grinding and never giving up on what they choose to do. Um, I'm again. You're working in a tough industry. I'm not going to tell you you're not. You got a lot to face, Brian. So take this man's advice. Keep grinding. Have a purpose. Have a mission. Stay focused, and go out there and make some shit happen. Because you know what, you can do it no matter what anybody tells you. And Brian.